CEO almost runs over a black street vendor woman with his luxury car. Now he visits her cart every day. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from today. The morning air was cool as Yara Carter placed warm, yummy pastries into baskets on her food cart. She was 41 years old and knew exactly what to do. She had done this every morning for years. For the last 5 years, Yara had been coming to the same street corner, Mercer and 6th. It was her special spot. Her grandma used to sell food here before she passed away and gave Yara the family's secret recipes. Another day, another dollar, Yara whispered with a small smile. She fixed the little chalkboard sign that showed the menu. The smell of her famous Café de Ola coffee floated all around. It was her most popular drink. It was made just like Grandma had taught her. Strong enough to keep dreams alive and sweet enough to make them fun to chase. Yara wiped her hands on her apron and looked at the busy city. People were starting their day. Some were wearing suits, rushing to work. Some were college kids with big backpacks. Others were workers in bright vests. Many of them stopped by her cart every morning. They liked her food and drinks. "Morning, Yara, the usual, please," called out Derek, the friendly mailman who came every day. "Coming right up," Yara said with a big smile. She poured his coffee into a paper cup and gave him a warm cheese roll. This little corner wasn't just her job. It was her safe place. It made her feel close to her grandma and her past. She also worked at night as a janitor in an office building, cleaning floors and emptying trash. Life wasn't easy, but she was managing. In a big city like this, even just getting by was a kind of success. Just as she was helping another customer, Yara heard a loud engine noise. A shiny black car came zooming around the corner. The tires made a screeching sound as the car came too close to her cart. "Ah!" Yara screamed, dropping the coffee she was holding. Everything seemed to move in slow motion. The car swerved just in time, missing her by only a little bit. But her coffee pot fell over and the hot drink spilled on the sidewalk. A basket full of bread fell too. The car stopped with a loud screech. The door opened, and out came a tall man in a fancy suit. His name was Julian Voss, and he was 48 years old. He looked very important. His dark hair was perfect, and his shiny watch probably cost more than her whole house. "Are you okay?" he asked. He looked worried, but quickly tried to look calm. But before Yara could answer, he frowned. "Why would you set up so close to the street? I nearly hit you." Yara stared at him. Her heart was still beating fast, but fear quickly turned into anger. "I'm here because I can't afford a real store," she said firmly, "and because I was here first." Her voice was strong, even though her hands were shaking. Julian blinked. Most people said sorry when he got mad, but not Yara. "Well, you should be more careful," he said, but he wasn't yelling anymore. "I've been setting up here for 5 years without a problem," Yara said as she bent down to pick up the bread. "Maybe you should be more careful. You were driving like it was a race." People had gathered to watch. Julian looked around and fixed his tie, feeling a little embarrassed. "Let me pay for the damage," he said, pulling out his wallet. "I don't want your money," Yara said, standing up with pride. "I just want to go back to work. My customers are waiting." Julian looked at her again. Really looked this time. She wasn't young, but she had a strong, proud face. She looked him in the eye without fear. That surprised him. "Let me help clean up," he offered more gently. "No need," Yara said. "I've got this. You're probably late for something fancy anyway." He was late. A big meeting had already started without him, but for some reason he didn't move. "I'm sorry," he finally said. The words felt strange in his mouth. When was the last time he had truly said sorry? Yara nodded and turned back to fix her cart. Julian got in his car and drove away, but he couldn't stop thinking about her. During his meeting, he kept remembering how she stood her ground. "Mr. Voss, your thoughts on the proposal?" his assistant asked. "I need more time to check the numbers," he said. "Let's talk about this tomorrow." That night, in his big fancy apartment with big windows, Julian couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the woman from the street. What was her name? Had she told him? Had he even asked? He walked to the window. The city lights sparkled below. Somewhere out there, she was probably going to bed, or maybe working her second job like she had said. For the first time in a long while, Julian felt bad about something. The next morning, he drove back to the same corner. He parked nicely this time and walked to her cart. Yara was there, her cart all set up again. The smell of cinnamon coffee filled the air. A line of people waited. When Julian got to the front, Yara looked at him and raised her eyebrows. "No coffee for people who almost run me over," she said, but her voice wasn't angry anymore. "I deserve that," he said honestly. "Yes, you do," she said, turning to help the next person. But Julian didn't leave. He waited until the line was gone. "I came to say sorry again," he told her. "Yesterday was all my fault. I was driving too fast and not paying attention." Yara looked at him closely. She was trying to understand why he had come back. Rich men like him didn't say sorry twice. They usually just moved on. "What's your name?" he asked. "Yara Carter." "I'm Julian Voss." "I know," she said with a little smile. "I saw your picture in the paper last month, something about a tech merger." He was surprised, she remembered. Most people didn't know who he was. "That still doesn't make what happened okay," he said. "I want to make it right." "I told you, I don't want your money." "Then what do you want?" She looked surprised by the question. After thinking for a moment, she said, "Nothing from you, but thank you for coming back. That means something." A customer came and she turned away to help them. Julian waited again. "Your coffee smells amazing," he said when she was free. "It's my grandma's recipe, Café de Ola." "Can I try some?" Yara paused, then nodded. $5. "That's a lot for street coffee," Julian joked. "We use good ingredients," she said. "And I don't cut corners." Julian gave her a $10 bill. "Keep the change." She poured him a cup. Their fingers touched, and he noticed her hands were rough, working hands. He took a sip and looked surprised. "This is incredible. My grandma would be happy to hear that," Yara said. She smiled a little. "She taught you to make it?" "She taught me everything. Baking, cooking, all of it." "This cart was her dream?" Yara nodded. "She passed away 5 years ago. She left me her recipes and just enough money for this cart. It's not a full cafe like she dreamed, but it's something." Julian wanted to know more about her grandma, about Yara, about her dreams. But just then his phone rang. "I have to take this," he said, stepping away. When he came back, she was helping another customer. "I have to go," he said when she was free. "But your coffee was truly amazing, truly amazing." "Thanks," she said, "and thanks for coming back. Not many people would." As Julian walked back to his car, he felt something strange. Something about Yara had stayed with him, her pride, her strength, the way she looked him in the eye. He hadn't felt this way about anyone in a long time. As he sat in his car, he knew one thing. He would be back tomorrow. What he didn't know was that this small moment, almost getting into an accident, sharing coffee and saying sorry, would change both of their lives forever. Because sometimes the biggest changes come on ordinary days. And sometimes people who change our stories forever don't come with loud noises or big events. They come with a simple cup of coffee made with love. For the next week, Julian came back to the corner every morning. He told himself it was just for the coffee, and it really was amazing, but deep down he knew it was more. "Back again?" Yara asked with a smile on Friday as she poured him his usual cup. "Best coffee in the city," he said, like that was all the reason he needed. The truth was a little tricky. There was something about Yara Carter that made Julian very curious. He liked how she worked quietly and kindly. She always smiled and said each customer's name, and she never looked impressed by his fancy suits or the shiny car he parked nearby. "You must have a lot of free time for a CEO," Yara said one morning as she gave him a pastry he didn't ask for. "What's this?" Julian asked. "Concha. It's sweet bread. It's free," she said. Julian raised an eyebrow. I thought you didn't give free food to men who almost hit you with their car. That rule ends after 1 week of good behavior, Yara said with a real smile, the first one he had seen from her. It made her face softer and younger. He took a bite of the sweet bread. This is really good. Did your grandma teach you to make these too? Yara nodded and turned to help the next person. Julian moved aside, but he didn't leave. He had started coming earlier every day and stayed longer each time, just to watch her work. Don't you have a big company to take care of? Yara asked when she was free again. She pointed at his phone, which had buzzed a lot. They can do fine without me for 1 hour, he said. He was surprised to realize it was true. His company, Vostech, had become so big that sometimes he felt more like a symbol than the boss. Must be nice, Yara said, wiping her counter. Some of us don't have that choice. How many jobs do you have? He asked. He had wanted to know this for days. 2, she said, this cart in the morning and cleaning offices at night. She didn't say it with sadness or pride, just like it was normal. That's a long day. Life costs a lot in this city, she said, and I'm saving for something. The cafe? He asked. He remembered her talking about her grandma's dream. Yara looked surprised, he remembered. Yes, one day, a real place with walls, a roof, and maybe some tables. With your talent, you can do it. Talent doesn't pay rent, she said, but I'm slowly getting there. A gust of wind blew down the street. Napkins flew everywhere, and Yara held her cart so it wouldn't fall. Julian noticed one of the wheels was wobbly and old. How old is this cart? He asked. Old enough, she said, not looking at him, but it still works. His phone rang again, and this time he had to answer it. It's my assistant, he said. Yara nodded and turned to the next customer. See you Monday, Mr. Voss. Julian, he said before picking up the phone. Call me Julian. The weekend felt strange without seeing Yara in the morning. At a fancy party on Saturday night, Julian sat listening to a woman talk about her vacation. Julian, are you even listening? She asked, touching his arm. Sorry, I was thinking about work, he said, even though he wasn't. You're always working. You need a break. My family has a villa in Tuscany. You should come in the spring. He smiled politely, but he was thinking about Yara. What did she do on weekends? Did she rest? Did she have family or friends? Was there someone special in her life? He couldn't wait for Monday. He got to the cart earlier than usual. Yara was still setting up. You're early, she said, lifting a heavy container from an old car. Julian quickly moved to help her. Let me get that. I've got it, she said, but her voice sounded tired. I know you can do it, he said gently, but you don't have to. She waited a moment, then let him help. Fine, there are 3 more in the back. As they carried the supplies, Julian saw dark circles under her eyes. Rough weekend? Water pipe broke in my apartment, she said. Spent all Saturday fixing it. That's terrible. Was anything ruined? Just some books and a rug, she said. But her voice didn't sound okay. What kind of books? He asked while helping with the coffee. She looked at him, surprised. Cookbooks, my grandma's collection. I saved most, but some got ruined. Julian felt something deep inside. He wanted to fix it, get her new books, a new home, make sure she never had to deal with broken pipes again, but he knew she wouldn't accept help like that. I'm sorry about your books, he said softly. Life happens, she said, standing tall again and going back to work. The morning passed and Julian stayed longer than usual. When things got quiet, he helped restock napkins and cups. You know, you're not what I expected, Yara said. Oh? What did you expect? Rich guys like you don't help with napkins. They don't notice when someone has a hard weekend. Maybe I'm not like other rich guys, he said with a smile. Maybe not, she said, looking at him closely. So what's your story, Julian Voss? How did you get such an expensive car? It was her first personal question, and he wanted to answer it. Hard work, some luck, and a lot of big dreams. I started Vostech in my garage 20 years ago. Right idea at the right time. Self-made man, she nodded. That explains why you come here instead of sending someone else. You didn't always have people to do things for you. My dad was a mechanic, Julian said quietly. Worked 3 jobs to send me to college. He passed away before he could see what I built. He hadn't told anyone about his dad in years. He would be proud, Yara said softly. I'm not so sure. He always said success means nothing if you forget where you came from. There was a peaceful silence between them. For the first time, Julian felt like Yara really saw him, not the money or suits, just him. What about you? He asked. Was it just you and your grandma? Yara nodded. My parents died when I was little. A car accident. Abuela raised me by herself. She pointed at the cart. She had one like this in Mexico. She taught me how to cook, how to work hard, and how to keep going. She sounds amazing. She was, Yara said, looking far away. She never got her cafe. That's why I want it so much. It's not just my dream. It was hers too. The next morning, Julian brought a small gift bag. What's this? Yara asked, a little suspicious. Nothing fancy, he said. Just something small. Inside was a cookbook, an old collection of Mexican recipes. His assistant had worked all night to find it. Yara's eyes grew wide as she flipped through the pages. This looks like one of the books I lost. I guessed from what you said, he told her. Not the same, but close. She touched the pages gently. Thank you. That was very thoughtful. It was the first time she'd thanked him for anything. Julian felt very happy. As fall came, the mornings grew colder and the sun went down earlier. Julian still visited every day. He talked with Yara about things he never shared with others, his problems at work, new ideas, even his worries. One rainy morning in October, he found Yara trying to keep her canopy from falling down. This rain is ruining my business, she said, squeezing water from a towel. Julian looked around. The sidewalk was empty. Can't you take a day off? Bills don't take days off, she said. An idea popped into his head. Maybe there was a way he could help without hurting her pride. The next day, it rained harder. The wind pushed the cart. Julian showed up with a big umbrella and something else, a space heater in a box. What's that? Yara asked. A space heater, small but strong. I thought your customers would like staying warm. She looked unsure. I don't have anywhere to plug it in. It's battery powered, he said, opening the box. My company made the battery. That part was true. Vostek made the battery, though not the heater. Yara waited. Then she nodded. For the customers. Thank you. It was a small win, but it felt important. As they set up the heater, their hands touched. Each time, Julian didn't move away right away. You'll be late for work, Yara said, not moving either. I'm the boss, he smiled. I can be late. In the following weeks, Julian kept bringing helpful gifts. A better umbrella, a stronger table, cups that kept the coffee hot longer. Each gift was useful, never too much and always for her customers. Every time, Yara led him a little closer. In his tall office building, Julian often thought about her. Her hands, tired but gentle. Her eyes, smart and deep. Her smile, rare but special. Mr. Voss, his assistant said one day, interrupting his thoughts. The board is waiting. Oh, right, the meeting. He sighed. And Miss Spencer called about the charity auction. She wants you to go with her. Julian frowned. Barbara Spencer was rich and wanted to be his wife. Once he might have liked that. But now, the idea made him sad. Tell her I have other plans, he said. For the whole week? His assistant asked, surprised. If I need to, Julian said, already thinking about the little cart on the corner where Yara would be waiting. But what Julian didn't know was that Yara had secrets too. Big secrets. And soon, those secrets would crash into his world in ways they never imagined. And not everyone would be happy to see the rich CEO spending time at a food cart. Especially when they found out who Yara Carter really was. November came and it was very cold outside. The wind blew hard and it got dark early. Yara, a kind woman with a warm smile, set up her food cart before the sun came up. Her breath made little clouds in the cold air as she put out fresh pastries and got the coffee ready. She had a small space heater that Julian had given her. It kept her cart warm and cozy. People walking by loved the warmth, and they came to buy coffee and food. "You're busier than ever," Julian said one morning. He stood by her cart, smiling as he saw a long line of people waiting. "Cold weather is good for coffee sales," Yara said with a happy smile. She smiled more these days. Julian leaned against the cart. He didn't care if his fancy coat got a little dirty. "Let me help," he said. "I can pour the coffee while you serve the food." "You helping with the food cart?" Yara laughed. But she gave him an apron anyway. "This I have to see." To Yara's surprise, Julian wasn't bad at all. He didn't move as quickly as she did, but he was friendly and kind. The customers liked him, even though some stared at him in shock. "Isn't that the Vostek guy?" someone whispered. "What's he doing here?" asked another. Yara wondered the same thing. Why would Julian Voss, a rich man who could go anywhere, spend his mornings at her little cart? When the rush ended, Yara saw Julian watching her with a soft look in his eyes. "What?" she asked, feeling a little shy. "Nothing," he said. "You're just remarkable." "For selling coffee on a street corner?" she joked. "For everything," he said. "For your strength, your kindness, and for making the best coffee in New York." Yara blushed. She looked down and started cleaning to hide her smile. "Now you're just trying to get a free refill." Julian laughed, and that laugh made Yara feel funny inside. Since when did his laugh make her heart flutter? Then Julian looked serious. "I wanted to ask you something." "What is it?" "There's a fancy dinner next week for the Children's Hospital. I'm going, and I'd like you to come with me." Yara froze. "Like a date?" "If you want to call it that," Julian said, looking nervous, "or just as friends." Yara's heart beat fast. She didn't have fancy clothes or belong in that world. "I don't have anything to wear." "We can figure that out," Julian said kindly. "Or maybe you can borrow something." Yara thought of Noemi, her friend who worked in a nice store. "Maybe I'll think about it," she said. Julian smiled. "That's not a no." "It's not a yes either," she said. But she smiled back. The next day, Julian didn't come. Yara tried to tell herself it didn't matter, but it did. She missed him. Then a fancy black car pulled up. A woman in a neat suit came to the cart. "Miss Carter?" she asked. "Yes," Yara said. "I'm Cassia Chen, Mr. Voss's assistant. He was called to Boston for a big meeting. He asked me to give you this." She handed Yara an envelope. "Thank you," Yara said. He also said, "He hopes you'll say yes." Inside the envelope was a note. "Yara, business calls me away, but my thoughts remain at the corner of Mercer and 6th. I still hope you'll go with me to the benefit next Friday. My assistant can help with anything you need." There was also a business card and a photo of an old building with big windows. On the back, he wrote, "Reminded me of the cafe you described. It's on Sullivan Street, currently vacant." Yara's heart beat faster. Was Julian saying she could have her own cafe? That night, after her cleaning job, Yara walked to Sullivan Street. The building was old but beautiful. It had brick walls, wooden floors, and big windows. It was just like the cafe she had always dreamed about. She saw a for rent sign and took a picture of it. Over the weekend, Yara thought a lot. Was Julian offering to help her open a cafe? She wasn't sure how she felt. She had worked so hard on her own. Taking help might change things. But Monday morning, Julian came back. He smiled and looked nervous. "Welcome back," she said, handing him coffee. "Did you get my note?" "I did." Their fingers touched. "And I saw the building. What did you think?" "It's beautiful, but I'm not ready for something like that." Julian looked like he wanted to say more, but didn't. "And the benefit?" he asked. Yara took a deep breath. "Yes, I'll go with you." His face lit up. "On one condition," she added. "No expensive gifts. No fixing my life. We go as equals." "Equals," he said, raising his cup. "I wouldn't want it any other way." What Yara didn't tell him was that she had called about the building. The rent was way too high. It would stay a dream, for now. Finally, the night of the benefit arrived. Noemi helped Yara find a beautiful black dress and styled her hair. Yara hardly recognized herself in the mirror. When she opened the door, Julian stood there in a tuxedo. "You look stunning," he said. "You clean up pretty well, too," Yara smiled. The benefit was held in a huge ballroom with shiny lights and flowers everywhere. Yara felt nervous, but Julian held her hand. "Just be yourself," he whispered. "They're the ones who should be nervous." He stayed by her side all night, proudly introducing her to everyone. "So how did you two meet?" asked a tall woman named Barbara. "I almost ran her over," Julian said with a laugh, "and she refused to serve me coffee." "How quaint," Barbara said with a fake smile. "Yara owns the best food cart in the city," Julian said. "Her Café Diola is legendary." "A food cart?" Barbara's eyes got wide. "I thought you were into fashion or something." "Nope, just food," Yara said calmly. "Simple food made with care." Barbara smiled again, but not nicely. "Your father would have loved this," she said to Julian. "He had a soft spot for charity cases." Yara felt embarrassed. But Julian stood tall. "My father admired people who work hard," he said firmly. "If you'll excuse us," he led Yara away. "I'm sorry," Julian said quietly. "Barbara thinks she's special because her dad invests in our company." "Does she think she'll marry you?" Yara asked before she could stop herself. Julian laughed. "That's never going to happen." Later, they danced together. His hand felt warm and safe. Yara smiled. "Thank you for tonight," he said. "It was easier than I thought," she replied, "except for Barbara." "She's not my friend," Julian said. "She's just someone I have to be nice to." "You must know a lot of people like that." "Too many," he agreed. "That's why being with you feels so real." He looked into her eyes. "Yara, I need to tell you something." But just then, something happened. People near the door were shouting. A man was yelling at security guards, trying to get in. Yara's face turned pale. "That's—" Julian looked at her. "Who?" Yara whispered. "That's my ex-husband." Julian looked at Yara with surprise. "You're what?" he asked. There hadn't been time to explain. All those talks over coffee, and she never told him about Derek. She never told him about her short, bad marriage that ended 5 years ago when Derek was arrested for stealing money from the restaurant where they worked. "I need to go," Yara said quickly, already walking away. "I'm sorry. I can't be here right now." "Yara, wait," Julian called. But Yara was already moving through the crowd, trying to reach the door before Derek saw her. She didn't make it. "Yara!" Derek shouted loudly. Everyone looked. "So this is where you've been? Hiding with your rich boyfriend while I live in poverty?" Security guards moved toward Derek, but he was making a scene. He was drunk. "You think you're too good for me now? After everything I did for you?" he yelled. He struggled as guards tried to take him away. "Tell them who you really are, Yara. Tell them about the money." Julian stepped in front of Yara, his voice low and strong. "You need to leave. Now." Derek laughed bitterly. "Who is this, Yara? Your meal ticket? Does he know you'll take his money and run, just like you took mine?" "That's enough," Julian said. He nodded to the guards, who finally pulled Derek away. The room was quiet. Everyone stared. Nearby, Barbara Spencer stood with her phone, clearly recording the drama. She looked happy to have something to gossip about. Yara felt sick. This was why she never told anyone about her past. This was why she didn't want to be part of Julian's world. "I need to go," she said again and pushed past Julian. This time, he didn't stop her. Outside, Yara got in a taxi. Her hands shook as she told the driver her address. As the car pulled away, she looked back and saw Julian standing on the hotel steps, watching her go. For the first time in 5 years, Yara didn't open her coffee cart at the corner of Mercer and 6th, and Julian didn't get his usual cup of Café de Olla. Neither of them knew that while they were apart, something was already happening, something that might bring them back together or keep them apart forever. For 3 days, the corner was quiet. People walked by, looking confused. Where was Yara and her cart? Each morning, Julian stood there, waiting. He looked up and down the street, hoping to see her. On the 4th day, he had enough. He called his assistant. Cassia, I need an address. An hour later, Julian stood outside a small, old apartment building in Queens. He took a deep breath and pressed the buzzer for apartment 3B. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. She's not there, said an old woman nearby. Julian turned. The woman was watching him. I haven't seen her in days, she said. Do you know where she might be? He asked. She visits her grandmother's grave when she's sad, over at St. Michael's Cemetery. As Julian turned to leave, the woman added, You're that rich guy, right? The one from the cart. He hesitated. Yes. She talks about you. She says you're different from other rich people. I hope she's right. So do I, Julian said. The cemetery was big and Julian didn't know where to look. He walked through rows of gravestones for almost an hour. Then he saw her. Yara was kneeling beside a grave. She didn't look up as he walked toward her. How did you find me? She asked quietly. Your neighbor thought you might be here, he said. I was worried when you disappeared. She finally looked at him. Her eyes were red. I'm sure Barbara Spencer told you everything by now. I haven't spoken to Barbara, he said. I've been busy looking for you. Why? She asked, standing up. Why would you want anything to do with me after what happened? I want to hear your side of the story, Julian said. Yara sighed. I married Derek when I was 23. He was the manager where I worked as a cook. He said we'd open our own restaurant one day. But then he started gambling and stealing from the restaurant. He told people I helped him. We both lost our jobs. He went to jail. I didn't take any money, but no one believed me. No one would hire me again, so I started the cart. Julian nodded. Your grandmother left you enough money to start? Yes. Yara said. She believed in me, even when no one else did. She looked at him. So that's the truth. I'm the ex-wife of a thief. Still want to be seen with me? Ex-wife, Julian said gently. And yes, I do, more than ever. Why? She whispered. Because I know who you really are, Yara. I've seen how hard you work, how kind you are. What happened before doesn't change how I feel now. Tears filled Yara's eyes. What do you feel? I think I'm falling in love with you, Julian said. Actually, I already have. Yara shook her head. We're from different worlds. No, we're not, he said. Your grandmother and my father. They both worked hard. They'd understand each other. Yara looked at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. I need some time to think. Julian nodded. Your cart corner misses you. I miss you too. Just my customers? She teased a little. I miss you more than all of them combined, he said. As he turned to go, Yara said, Thank you for finding me and for listening. The next morning, Yara's cart was back. When Julian arrived, she was serving coffee. Welcome back, he said. Thank you, she replied, handing him his cup. I realized I couldn't hide forever. I'm glad, Julian said. They were quiet for a moment. About what I said yesterday, he started. Not here, Yara said softly. I'm still thinking. Julian nodded. I'll wait as long as it takes. Weeks passed. Every morning, Julian came for coffee. They talked again, slowly becoming friends like before. He even helped her serve customers during busy times. One snowy December morning, Julian brought an envelope. What's this? Yara asked. Open it, he said. Inside were keys and a business card. I don't get it, Yara said. It's not what you think, Julian said quickly. I didn't buy you a cafe. I just helped fix a building's paperwork so it's finally available to rent. The rent is lower now, maybe low enough for you. Not today, but maybe soon. Yara looked surprised. Can I see it? That's the plan, he smiled. That afternoon, they visited the empty cafe space. Sunlight came through big windows. The floor was wood and the walls were brick. The counter could go here, Yara said, walking through the space, and tables by the windows, the kitchen in the back where people can watch the baking. Julian watched her, smiling. It would be more than the cart, she said. Pastries, meals, but always cafe de hola. That's a must. It sounds perfect, Julian said. Yara turned serious. But there's still so much. Money, equipment. One step at a time, Julian said. Today is about the dream. Tomorrow we figure out the rest. Yara smiled, her eyes full of hope. I can see my grandma here. She would have loved this. Tell me about her, Julian said, and Yara did. She told him how her grandmother, Miriam, came to America with only her recipes and a big heart, how she taught Yara to stay strong, to work hard, and never give up. When she finished, Julian took her hand. I don't want to give you a cafe. I don't want to be your investor. Then what do you want to be? Yara asked. Your partner, in every way. Julian looked into Yara's eyes. I love you, Yara Carter, he said. I've loved you since the day you stood strong when I almost ran over your cart. I love how strong you are, how proud you are, your coffee, your dreams, everything. I want to build something with you, not for you, not without you, but with you. Yara felt her heart jump, her breath caught in her throat. You make it sound so easy, she said softly. The feeling is easy, Julian said. What we do about it, that's up to you. Yara stayed quiet for a while. She looked at his face, searching for any sign that he was joking or lying. She didn't see any. She squeezed his hand. I'm not used to letting people get close to me, she said. After Derek, after everything, I built walls around my heart. I noticed, Julian said with a little smile. But you climbed over those walls anyway, Yara said. With your space heaters, your cookbook, and the way you always showed up in the mornings. I can be really stubborn when something is important to me, Julian said. And you matter to me, Yara. You matter more than anything. Yara took a deep breath like she was making a big choice. My grandmother used to say, when love knocks, open the door. It may not knock again. She was a smart woman, Julian said. Yara stepped closer to him. She touched his face with her free hand. And I think I'm ready to open that door if you're still knocking. Then they kissed. And that kiss felt like an ending and a beginning at the same time. It was the end of fear, of being apart, of pretending they weren't falling in love. And it was the beginning of something new, something they had never dreamed could be real. When they pulled away from the kiss, Yara's eyes were shining with happy tears. I love you too, she said, even though you almost ran me over. Julian laughed and hugged her. That was the best almost accident of my life. So what happens now? Yara asked. She looked around the empty room. What about this place? What about us? Now, Julian said, we make a plan that respects your grandmother's memory, a plan that keeps your independence, a plan where I help you with your dream, but never take it over. And what about Barbara Spencer? Yara asked, and all those people who think I'm just after your money. Julian shrugged. What about them? They don't get to decide. It won't be easy, Yara warned. People will talk. Let them, Julian said. He gave her another kiss. I only care about what you think. 6 months later, the doors of El Elanina's opened on Sullivan Street. The cafe was small but beautiful. There were colorful stained glass windows, and the yummy smell of cinnamon filled the air, just like Yara had always dreamed. They had a special way of running the business. It was different, but it worked perfectly for them. Yara owned most of the cafe and made all the creative decisions. Julian gave her a small loan to help start it, but Yara said she had to pay him back with interest. He told her she didn't need to, but she insisted. On opening day, a photo of Yara's grandmother, Miriam Carter, sat behind the counter. It looked like she was watching over the cafe with a big smile. The food cart Yara used to run was still at the corner of Mercer and 6th. Noemi now ran it. She had left her job at the department store to help with Yara's growing business. The cart reminded everyone where it all started. It also helped Yara stay close to her first customers, the ones who believed in her from the beginning. And Yara and Julian, they were still taking life one day at a time. They were building their love with respect and teamwork. Julian never asked Yara to leave her little apartment in Queens. He knew how important her freedom was to her. So they split their time between his big penthouse and her cozy place. Each home showed who they were, alone and together. Some nights, after both the cafe and the cart were closed, Yara and Julian sat quietly inside Ella Lenena's. They talked about the future. Sometimes they made plans to grow the business. Sometimes they dreamed about going to Mexico to visit the places Yara's grandmother used to talk about. And sometimes they dreamed about their future life together, something they never thought would happen, but now wanted more than anything. "Did you ever think this would happen?" Yara asked one night. They were sitting by the window, watching the city lights twinkle. "That almost running me over would lead to this?" Julian took her hand and smiled. He gently touched the tough skin on her fingers, the marks of hard work she wore with pride. "No," he said, "but I think the best stories happen that way, not with big plans, but with surprise moments that change everything." "Like a food cart on a street corner," Yara said with a smile. "Like a woman who didn't let a fancy car scare her," he said. "A woman who showed that man what really matters." Outside, soft snow started to fall. It made the sidewalk look like it was sprinkled with sugar. Inside, the cafe was warm and cozy. It smelled like cinnamon and coffee. It was full of memories from the past and dreams for the future. In that moment, Yara and Julian both knew something very special. They had found a rare and wonderful kind of love. A love built not on make-believe, but on real things, on choices, trust, and everyday kindness. It all started with an almost accident on a city street. And now, cup by cup, day by day, they had built something strong that couldn't easily break. "For what it's worth," Julian said quietly, "I'd do it all again, every moment, even the near accident." "Even my ex-husband showing up and crashing the benefit?" Yara asked, raising an eyebrow. "Even that," Julian said, "because it brought me to you." "Well then," Yara said with a smile, leaning in to kiss him, "I guess I should be happy you drive too fast and don't look where you're going. And I should be happy you put your cart too close to the street," he whispered against her lips. "Because you were here first," they said together. Those words had once been a fight, but now they were a promise. A promise that whatever happened next, they would face it the same way they had faced everything else, together. Thanks for watching. If you liked the story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Check out our other videos too. See you in the next one.